Hey YouTubers, and welcome back to Tony the Technician channel. And today on Tool Talk episode 16, we're going into different types of wrenches. And this came up because multiple times I've heard not just this statement being stated to me, but anybody that works in the automotive field or has tools, and a lot of them. And that is like my wife, maybe a family member, a friend, somebody that doesn't work on in the automotive field or work with tools a whole lot. They'll see your toolbox and they'll see your wrenches and they'll be like, why do you need so many different wrenches? Aren't they all the same? And every time I had to tell them no. Like, yeah, I have a lot of wrenches that might look the same from first glance, but each one has its purpose, and that's kind of what I'm going to go into today, the different designs, and and that's just some of them. I don't have every type of wrench out there because I don't need them, but a lot of other people, I'm sure, have a much wider variety of wrenches, but I'm going to hit on the major ones and the ones that I have, and I really hope you guys enjoy. But if you guys have had somebody ask you the same question, why you have so many wrenches, aren't they all the same, or something along that line, please drop it down in the comments. Let me know if you've ran across that before. So I really hope you guys enjoy. Let's get into this. So this is just going to be some of the wrenches that I have and some of them available. This is not going to be every style that's made. I mean, there's a lot of different styles out there, but I'm going to hit on the ones I have and kind of give the reasonings for them. So your standard combination wrench. This is going to be the most common, for anybody that, does little jobs around the house to, the big time everyday mechanic. So there's a difference even between these two. Obviously the lengths, but we're not going to be talking about brands or anything like that, just features and the differences in them. So this is going to be your more standard combination wrench with the open end, and then you have your box end. This is going to be a 12-point design, and your standard open end, which this one does have a tooth in it for anti-slip design, which is included in a lot of wrenches today. That's became a big thing, but you can also get them without it. Then this one, which is basically the same as your other combination wrench, but this is going to actually be a spline drive. And the spline drive is going to be more useful for a lot of different fasteners. And then in the open end, you have a different style of anti-slip, but that's going to be your most common. So let's move right along. Another one that's common is your stubby wrench. Now, I do not have ratcheting versions, but this is also available in ratcheting or flex head and many other features like that. But this is your standard stubby combination wrench, and this is for tight spaces. That's why it's stubby. Another thing I want to mention is keep in mind that these are at an offset. The box end is at an angle on all of these, and the angles might vary from brand to brand or wrench style to wrench style. But then another one which is used on a lot of, let's say, fuel lines and brake lines and stuff, and that's going to be maybe not for your weekend warrior as much, or the person that's just doing small jobs around the house, but if you're doing brake jobs or fuel work or anything that has a flared fitting, this is a flare nut wrench, and it's an open end on both sides, and it has more space here, or it's got a bigger box end. It gives you room to get over the line, but gives much more surface coverage on the fastener that you're going to break loose. Because if you're doing, let's say, a brake line, you want to just turn just the flared fitting, not the line. So this helps with that. And once again, you have an angle, kind of an S shape here. Then moving right along, you have deep offset double box end wrenches, and the deep offset, clearly is the deep portion here, kind of gets you down into locations. This one, not specifically, but this design was used a lot towards distributors. It's a little bit different, but if you've ever done a distributor, you'll know what I'm talking about. But that's for deeper applications, box end on both sides, and this is just your standard 12-point. Sorry. You can also get this in spline drive and possibly 6-point. I don't think I've seen them in 6-point, but Next up is one that can be common, but depending on the field that you're in. These are used a lot for hydraulics. If you work on a lot of hydraulics, or let's say forklifts, lawnmowers, you know, anything like that, or big machinery, this style is used a lot. And this is an angled or open end wrench, and you're going to have a different angle here, and it's going to vary from brand to brand, the angle that you're going to get. But Tecton, you guys might have seen my video, maybe I'll put a little box up in here of Tecton's new USA made angled wrenches like this that they just released. They're out of stock right now, but when they do come out, I will be purchasing them. So that is another design. And then those are all non-ratcheting wrenches that I just showed you in, just normal combination, and then some of the other ones that you have. Now we'll get into some of the ratcheting ones that I have. So I have this one, this guy. These two guys, we'll stick with these for now. So the differences in these are all different sets. These two are the same, minus this Capri Tools has a different anti-slip feature in the open end, whereas this Matco does not have an anti-slip feature. It is your just standard open end, but they're both 0 offsets. There's no angle to the box end, and the only difference in this is going to be a 72 tooth mechanism, and this is going to be a 100 tooth mechanism. So you're going to have a different arc swing on that between teeth. But that's mainly the big differences, is just the open end, the teeth, and then the tooth count on these. But these being straight, they're going to be good for certain areas. And then you have this DeWalt that I have, which also has the open end feature, but a little bit different. It is going to be a reversible option, and it's going to have a slight angle to it, and that's to get the wrench up off of whatever you're working on, so you can actually ratchet without the wrench being down here. But in some cases, if you're working in a confined spot, you can't have this angle. You might not be able to get the box end on the fastener, or if you do, then this end might be obstructed by something. So that's where something like this with a 0 offset would come in, and you don't have to worry about that. So that's why it's a good idea to have both. Now, downside to these, this one having a reversible action, if you're working in a space where you're backing off a fastener from, let's say, this side, you're backing the fastener off, but there's an obstruction here. If you back it off, you might not be able to get your ratchet or your wrench out. And then if you're in a really tight spot, you might be in trouble if you can't turn that fastener that you just loosened back in, because this isn't going to allow you to tighten it anymore because you have it set to loosen and there's no reverse feature. So that's something you always need to keep in mind when working in those tight spots. And then this, the only difference between these and this one is you can vary the offset on this, or the angle of the box end. Now this one itself does not have a reverse action, but you can also get that as a feature. You can also get these as locking, so you can lock them in different positions. Now this one, I've been lucky enough for it to actually stay tight, and it stays wherever I put it. But some of the smaller wrenches from this gear wrench set, not so lucky. They got a little wobbly after some time, but that doesn't have anything to do with this. Let's move on. So the last couple ones that I really want to hit on are going to be your extra long double box end ratcheting wrenches. And I actually have another one here, just not, I tried to do larger sizes so it was a little bit easier to see through these. But this is going to be the Tecton double box end ratcheting wrench. This is going to be the gear wrench double box end extra long ratcheting wrench. And then this is the Easy Red extra long double box end ratcheting wrench. Now, main differences. Tecton, sorry, this one's smaller. I use this one for brake lines and stuff, or brake jobs. This is actually going to be a 6-point box end. So good for 6-point fasteners. You don't see that a whole lot on wrenches, but a few companies do make sure to make them. But moving on to these styles, you can get certain brands in the standard 12-point design, but both of these are going to be the spline drive. And on the gear wrench, you're going to have a 0 offset end over here that is spline drive and non-ratcheting. This is for breaking loose those hard fasteners that you got to put a lot of torque on, so you got that extra length. And then once you break it loose, then you got the same spline drive feature down here, but on a ratcheting portion. And this is the 120 XP. So this is going to be a 60 tooth mechanism with dual pawls. So you get a very low arc swing, which is really good for tight spaces. And then this is going to be a swivel head as well. That is a different feature. And then, or a different feature than from this end where it's your standard just non-flex. And then the Easy Red, this one actually has the most features, and with it you also have that spline drive. It's ratcheting on both sides. I believe this is a 72 tooth mechanism on both sides. It also has a flex head, but it is a locking flex head, so you can just press this button and move this to whatever position you desire, and it's locked in. The head isn't going anywhere. And then you have this kind of offset here, just like you do here, in order to get down in little tiny spaces and stuff. Other than that, you do have a reversible action. Sorry, it's kind of hard to see in the camera. You do have a reversible action on this Easy Red, whereas this one is, you just flip it over to go the opposite direction. So this one has the locking feature in the flex head, spline drive, reversible action, and then this one is just flex head, non-reversible, has the standard box end on this side, but both being spline drive, and then this being 6-point and just your standard flex head as well. That is just some of the differences, and the reason a lot of mechanics and technicians and people that work on automotive stuff have a lot of different wrenches is because you need these for different situations, such as transmission work, bell housing stuff, you know, suspension work, hydraulic work, different tight confinements when working and stuff like that. I mean, there's a lot of different reasons, and you don't want to find yourself stuck or not being able to do a job because you don't have the tools to do it. So that is the reason for so many different wrenches. I don't even have all of the different types out there. There's a lot of others out there. So let me know what you guys think, and I really hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.